Good afternoon. Welcome to BizTech Asia's Midday Market Watch. I'm Jeffrey Halley, already tripping over my words, and my co-host today is Samantha Voon. And it's the 12th of March, 2024. Our guest today is Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management in Singapore. Kian Soon, welcome to the show. It's been a while.
Good afternoon.
Okay, well, let's do what we normally do and have a look around the Asian markets and see what's been going on. So it's been another mixed day, I would say, in Asia. The Nikkei 225 is down 0.56%. Shanghai is 0.44% lower. But Hong Kong's Hang Seng has rallied by 1.83%. The ASX 200 in Sydney is flat. Meanwhile, the South Korean Kospi has edged up 0.45%, with Singapore's STI climbing 0.32%, and the KLCI in Kuala Lumpur climbing 0.33%. Kian Soon, what are you making of that? A very mixed day. I can see Hong Kong's again another standout.
I think it's a mixed bag. As mentioned, right, the Hong Kong markets have been performing pretty well over the last 1 week. I think, in reception to the good news, coming out from the plenary sessions, and there wasn't any, detrimental bad news that, has plagued the markets for so long.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's turn to the US. Markets are focusing on inflation data due to this evening. What are your expectations for the data and its implication for the Federal Reserve monetary policy?
I think the CPI numbers has always been on the market watch for the last whole of 1 year or two, given that it has implications on the Fed's policy, and tonight is no exception. I think generally everybody expectation is the CPI number is just going to be pretty sticky and probably edge slightly higher. And I think the implications going forward is, in terms of the number of rate cuts Fed is going to take. And I don't see a rate cut that is going to be imminent in the first half of 2024. It's probably going to be the second half. And in terms of the number of rate cuts, I think expectations has been reduced from as high as 6 to a current, rate cuts of 2 to 3 times, which I think is pragmatic.
Overnight, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said that a US recession could still happen. Do you agree with him? And what are your thoughts on that?
I guess, again, this has to do with the rate cuts. If the rate cuts did not come soon enough and interest rates remain high, the recession risk will always be there and will increase as long as interest rates remains to be as high as the current levels. I think a few senior bankers has highlighted this risk, and it has to do with the management of the inflation. And I think the central bank is now, taking a pause and looking at how the situation is. But they are also aware that if they don't cut the interest rate soon enough, it could slow down the economy to a standstill, and therefore the recession risk will surge again.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year to be a central banker this year. There's a lot of juggling to go on, and one wrong move, and we could have an outcome that the markets and the economies aren't expecting, and that won't just be the US Federal Reserve, I suspect, in that spot. Let's turn back to Asia now, Kian Soon. The Nikkei 225, it was near to 41,000 last week, and everybody was saying the new dawn after 30 years plus of underperformance as Japan tried to escape from deflation. Yet this week we're trading very close to 38,000, so that's a 3,000 point pullback in the index. What is going on with the Nikkei 225 at the moment, and have we seen the best of this Nikkei 225 rally?
I think there's exuberance, champagne is flowing, and everybody is celebrating the all-time high of 41,000, as you mentioned last week. What's interesting for the Nikkei and in the same sense topics going forward would be very macro-driven. The market has all their eyes on what the central bank is going to do in the coming months, because for a long time they have the ultra loose policies of negative interest rates, and I think and that really spurs the markets, right? Especially the tech stocks listed in Japan, as well as it helps the exporters because given its ultra loose policies, yen has always been very weak, right? It was as low as $1 to 150. But the moment that I think the market expect the central banks to pull back on these ultra loose policies, we could expect the yen to start its path of recovery, being strengthening and becoming stronger, and that is going to hit the exporters hard. I think that's why the market is reacting in a certain way. And in a way, since it has achieved its all-time high, I think there is also possible that a lot of the investors has decided to take some profits. And that's why we see the correction that was pretty significant in this week.
Right, and I think we've seen some profit taking in markets such as Sydney, Australia, this over the last few days as well, yeah?
Correct.
Okay, so taking risk off the board ahead of these numbers tonight. Kian Soon, thank you so much for being on the show today. As ever, it's always a pleasure, and don't take a month this time before you come back.
Thank you so much.
This has been BizTech Asia's Midday Market Watch. I'm Jeffrey Halley.
And I'm Samantha Voon.
This show will be available on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. You can also see this show with our syndication partners on their TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks so much for tuning in today.